Welcome back to the Avalon Guns YouTube channel. My name's Jake, and today once again we're at the Mendip shooting ground at our shop that we have on the ground up here. In this video today we're going to be looking at a short buying guide for a shotgun, what we look out for in the shop and also what you should look out for if you're buying a shotgun, wherever it may be, privately or from a shop. We take in lots of steps when purchasing pre-owned guns just to make sure they're very good, and then they go through extra checks after testings and so on to make sure they're safe and good to be sold. Before we get into that, if this video gets 100 likes, we're going to be giving away a hat to one random person from the comments, so make sure you give this video a like, give us a subscribe, and we'll really appreciate it. So first off, we're talking about shotguns in this video. On the table we have a 12 bore over and under shotgun. This is a Bet & Solly. It's just an example on the 12 bore over and unders. And we also have a single barrel. We go through the same checks, whether they're over and under, side by side, semi-auto, single barrel, whatever the action may be, we still have the same checks and look through. So first thing on this single barrel, as an example, this is a BSA. So one of the first things we look at is the condition, of course. So looking through the gun starts at bottom to top. We're checking for condition, so there can be lots of marks depending on what gun it is. If it's been used for game shooting, there can be lots of marks on the stock from where it's been out in the field. If it's been used for clay shooting, again, there can be lots of marks. A clay might have landed on it, so you've got to look and make sure that the condition is good, as it will be priced accordingly. So first one we look at is the stock each side on the outside, so make sure there's no scratches or anything too heavy. Depending on what you're going to be using it for, this might mean a lot to you, it might not. The next important thing is that as this is a natural product on these wooden stocks, they're walnut normally, they can crack. So if they're dropped or stood on their slip on the floor, lots of ways they can crack. If they are cracks, they're generally around the top by the action on the shoulders of the stock. So that's where it's most fragile, that's where it's the thinnest. It's very strong down here near the end, and it's weak here. So you should really give a good look around the trigger guard here. Around this stock there can be small splits if it's had heavy use or been dropped, so give a good look for that. On this particular gun there is a crack on this, so at this distance on the camera you're not going to be able to see, but we'll do a close-up of this. There is cracks on this gun, so the way to spot this is move it around in the light and you'll catch it, so you can see a line. So it's a very thin line on this one. Like I say, normally they're behind the safety or the trigger, so this one is actually on the cheeks, on the side of the stock, and there's a split each side, which is on this model quite noticeable. If it's a dark stock, it can be tricky to spot. So that's the first thing to look at. Make sure there's no cracks there. Just jumping over to the Bet & Solly, where you'd be most likely to find a crack on an over and under is behind the safety and trigger rather than the sides, because it is quite strong on the sides here. This one doesn't have any, it's nice and smooth, it's really good condition. So the BSA single barrel, it does have some, likely it's been dropped and split there. This might stay like this now for years to come, and it could break and split the stock tomorrow, so you need to take that into consideration. Next thing, move up to the fore end. One thing is to check that it's a similar colour to the stock to make sure it's not been replaced. And again, they can split and crack on the sides. So this one is crack free, but they can split on the sides. More common on an over and under, as they're a lot thinner and more fragile around the sides here. So on an over and under, I'd take the fore end off with the lever and then have a good look inside the fore end and on the outside around here, because they can split there as they're quite fragile. Again though, this one is okay. Once you've checked the wood, moving on from there, we want to check the action and how tight or loose that might be. If it's had lots and lots of shots, or heavy cartridges fired through this gun, it's going to be a little bit worn, so you're going to have a bit of play. This one, even though it's closed, it has got movement on the head of the action, so there's play on there. It is loose, so that's one thing you want to make sure is not loose, because that can be dangerous, of course. So this one is a lever at the bottom to open it. Even though it's shut, there's still a wobble there, so that's the next thing to check. Once you've gone through from there, you can open the gun. This one's a folding gun, so really easy to see. On and over and under, moving back to the Veteran Solly. Open the gun and you can see the face of the action, and there's firing pins inside there. So I'll just strip this down, take the fore end off and the barrels off. So on the face, on the inside of this action, there's 2 firing pins. You can see the head of the firing pins. They do get lightly pitted as soon as they're used, but you just want to make sure they're not heavily pitted and make sure they are present. So you have got firing pins. They can snap. They go inside the action around here. They can snap halfway and it just won't work. So make sure you've got some of those. If you can, and it's on a shooting ground like it is here at Mendip, the shop's on the ground, most pre-owned guns can be tested and tried before they are purchased. So that's always good to use and have a go first. Make sure it fits. There's fitting advice at this store from the many people that work here, but that's another thing to check. On from the firing pins and the action being tight, we want to go and check inside the barrel. So if the gun has not been maintained and cleaned throughout its life after use, the shot that's left in there from the cartridge can stay in and pit the inside of the barrel. We're going to have another look at that from another camera and show you the inside of the barrel, but what we want to do is hold this barrel up to a light, and you get the light reflecting down the barrel, and you should have a really clean, shiny finish. Even once you've got it very dirty, you can get the cleaning kit, bronze brush, ball bop, that will take all of that out and get it back to new. So what you need to look for is at the front, the chambers, to make sure the chambers aren't pitted. That's the first thing, and then just after the chambers, all the way along, it can, if it's not cleaned, pit down there. So you can look from both ends, muzzle end and the loading end, and check for pitting. You'll see just small rust spots if it has got pitting, which is concerning and something to try and avoid. Lastly, what we look at is the outside of the barrels, the barrel bluing. Even though it looks black, it's called barrel blue. So you want to check. This can fade over years. If it gets too hot and leave finger marks on it, it will fade. Also, if you get blood on it from hunting, that will eat into the finish and make it go back to silver or lose the shine. So you want to check for that. Scratches can also be added on these, so check for that. This one is very good. While we brought this gun out, it's very good condition throughout, but there is one problem with it. There's a dent in the outside of the barrel, which is really tricky to notice, but it's a good thing to pull up. So we're going to show you on the other camera. There is a dent on this one, on the bottom barrel, around here, which we'll pull up on another shot from the camera to show you. So that's something lastly to check on, is the barrel. So once we've been through all that, you can then give an honest description of the gun's condition and make your mind up from there. Thanks for watching this video. That's just a quick run through of what we do checking a shotgun. We hope you come back and enjoy many more. Cheers.